There was one man, one single soldier who haunted Adolf Hitler's nightmares. Not a general, not a president, not even a spy, just a soldier. But this wasn't just any soldier. This was a man who had looked Hitler in the eyes, held his life in his hands, and made a choice that would echo through history. A choice that Hitler never forgot, a choice that terrified him, a choice that decades later would reveal one of World War I's most haunting ironies. This is the story of Private Henry Tandey, the most decorated British private of the First World War. A hero who showed mercy to a wounded enemy soldier in 1918. That enemy soldier was Adolf Hitler. August 1891, Leamington Spa, England. A boy is born into poverty. His name, Henry Tandey. No father, no privileges, no advantages. Just a boy who would grow up with nothing except an unbreakable code of honor. Young Henry's childhood was harsh. He grew up in an orphanage, worked as a hotel porter. Life offered him no easy paths. But inside this quiet young man burned something extraordinary, something that couldn't be taught or bought. Courage. 1910, Henry Tandey enlists in the British Army. He's 19 years old, 5'6", unremarkable to look at. The Army doesn't expect much from Private Tandey. They have no idea what's coming. August 1914, the world explodes into war. The Great War, the war to end all wars, a conflict so brutal, so devastating that it would reshape the entire planet. And Henry Tandey is right in the middle of it. The Western Front, hell on earth, mud, blood, poison gas that never stops, artillery that shakes the ground like earthquakes. Men die by the thousands, by the hundreds of thousands. But not Henry Tandey. 1914, the Battle of Ypres. Tandey distinguishes himself under fire. 1915, the Battle of the Somme, the bloodiest battle in human history. While others break, Tandey holds the line. 1916, Tandey is wounded at Passchendaele. He recovers, returns to the front. Nothing stops him. Distinguished Conduct Medal, Military Medal, not once, but twice. His commanders notice, his fellow soldiers notice. This quiet man from the orphanage is becoming a legend. But his greatest test, his most important moment, is still ahead.
September 28th, 1918. Marcoing, France, a small village near the French-Belgian border. The war is ending. Germany is collapsing. Victory is close. But the fighting is still brutal. The Battle of Canal de Saint-Quentin. British forces are pushing forward, breaking through German lines, and Private Henry Tandey is at the front, as always. Explosions, screams, chaos. Tandey's unit is pinned down by German machine gun fire. Men are dying all around him. Someone has to do something. Tandey moves. Alone, under fire, charging toward the German position. Bullets tear through the air around him. His fellow soldiers think he's committing suicide. But Tandey doesn't stop. He reaches the German position, neutralizes it, saves his unit. Just another day for Henry Tandey. But the day isn't over. Later that afternoon, the fighting has moved on. The battlefield is littered with bodies. Smoke drifts across the broken landscape. Tandey is moving through the aftermath, checking for wounded, for survivors. And then he sees him. A German soldier, wounded, limping, unarmed, retreating toward his own lines. The soldier looks back, makes eye contact with Tandey. Young, probably early 20s, pale, exhausted, defeated. He's wearing the unmistakable mustache, the haunted eyes. But Tandey doesn't know who this man is, doesn't know what he will become. All Tandey sees is a wounded soldier, beaten, no threat. Tandey raises his rifle. The German soldier stares at him, waiting, too tired to run, too broken to fight. This is it. One trigger pull, one bullet. Tandey lowers his rifle. He can't do it, won't do it. This man is no longer a combatant. He's wounded, defenseless. Henry Tandey is a soldier, a warrior, but he is not an executioner. The code of honor that has defined his entire life won't allow it. Tandey gestures, waves the German soldier away. Go, live. The war is almost over anyway. The German soldier nods, doesn't speak, turns, limps away toward his lines. He disappears into the smoke. Tandey watches him go, then turns away, returns to his duties. He will never see that man again. But that man will never forget Henry Tandey. That wounded German soldier's name was Adolf Hitler.
For his actions that day at Marcoing, and for his incredible courage throughout the war, Henry Tandey receives Britain's highest military honor, the Victoria Cross. The citation reads, "For most conspicuous bravery and initiative in attack." He is the most decorated British private soldier of the First World War. 5 medals, multiple wounds, countless acts of bravery. A genuine war hero. November 11th, 1918, the war ends. Germany surrenders. Private Henry Tandey returns home to England, to Leamington Spa, to a quiet life. He doesn't boast, doesn't seek attention. He's done his duty. That's enough. Tandey becomes a security guard, marries, lives simply. The newspapers celebrate him, the public admires him. But Tandey himself just wants peace. He's seen enough war for 10 lifetimes. He has no idea that across Europe, in Germany, something dark is rising, and that the wounded soldier he spared is at the center of it. Germany, 1920s, a nation humiliated, crushed by defeat, drowning in economic chaos. And in Munich, a failed artist turned political agitator is giving speeches, blaming everyone, promising revenge. His name is Adolf Hitler. Hitler remembers the war, remembers the trenches, remembers the moment he thought he would die, remembers the British soldier who lowered his rifle. To Hitler, this moment becomes something else. Not mercy, not honor, fate. Hitler begins telling people about it, about the day a British soldier spared his life, about how destiny itself intervened. He believes he was saved for a purpose. 1933. Hitler becomes Chancellor of Germany. 1934. He begins rearming Germany, violating the Treaty of Versailles. 1935. Austria, Czechoslovakia, annexed. The world watches in horror as the monster grows stronger. And then Hitler asks a question. He wants to know the name of the British soldier who spared him at Marcoing. His staff investigates. They search military records. They track down witnesses. They find photographs from British units that fought in that battle. And then they find it. A painting, a British war painting depicting the action at Marcoing. Soldiers in battle, one figure prominent in the foreground. The artist had painted it based on photographs and interviews, and the central figure is Private Henry Tandey, Victoria Cross recipient. Hitler becomes obsessed. He acquires a reproduction of the painting, hangs it in his office at the Berghof, his mountain retreat. He stares at it, studies it. The man who showed him mercy, the man whose decision changed everything. 1937. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain visits Hitler in Germany, trying to negotiate peace, trying to prevent another war. Chamberlain mentions that he's from Leamington Spa, the same town as Henry Tandey. Hitler's eyes light up. He shows Chamberlain the painting, points to Tandey's figure, and then Hitler says something that will haunt history. That man came so near to killing me that I thought I should never see Germany again. Providence sent me on my mission. Chamberlain is disturbed, deeply disturbed. He reports this conversation back to Britain. The British government investigates. They contact Henry Tandey, and for the first time, Henry Tandey learns what happened to the wounded German soldier he spared nearly 20 years ago.
Imagine, you're a war hero, decorated, respected, living a quiet, peaceful life. And then you discover that an act of mercy, an act of honor, has unleashed hell on earth. The wounded soldier you spared has become Adolf Hitler, the monster who is about to plunge the world into the deadliest war in human history, the man responsible for genocide, for the Holocaust, for 60 million deaths. And you could have stopped it all. One bullet, September 28th, 1918. How do you live with that? September 1939, Hitler invades Poland. World War II begins. Henry Tandey is 48 years old. He volunteers for service again. But this time, the burden is different. 1940, the Blitz. German bombs rain down on Britain. London burns. Coventry burns. Thousands die. 1941, Hitler invades the Soviet Union. The killing expands. 1942, the final solution, the Holocaust in full force. And in England, Henry Tandey watches, reads the newspapers, listens to the radio reports. The death toll climbing, the atrocities multiplying, and he knows that he had the chance. Journalists contact Tandey, want interviews, want to know how he feels. Tandey refuses most of them, stays silent. But to a few, he admits the truth. He's haunted. Not by regret exactly. Tandey still believes he did the right thing. He won't apologize for showing mercy to a wounded, defenseless man. That was his code, his honor,
But the weight, the terrible weight of what followed, it crushes him. Some reports suggest Tandey was plagued by the thought for the rest of his life. Others say he maintained that any soldier would have done the same, that you don't shoot wounded, unarmed men, that this is what separates civilization from barbarism. Both things can be true. Henry Tandey can believe he did the right thing and still be haunted by the consequences. 1945, May, Germany surrenders. Hitler is dead. The war in Europe is over. The true scope of the Holocaust becomes clear. The concentration camps, the gas chambers, the 6 million Jews murdered, the 20 million Soviet dead, the countless others, all traceable back in some terrible, twisted way to that moment on a battlefield in 1918, to a decision made in a fraction of a second, to mercy shown to a wounded enemy. Now, here's where the story gets complicated, because history is never simple. Did this encounter actually happen? Did Henry Tandey really spare Adolf Hitler's life? The truth is, we don't know for certain. Here's what we know for sure. Henry Tandey was real. His heroism was real. He fought at Markwing. He earned the Victoria Cross. He was the most decorated British private of World War I. Adolf Hitler was also at the Battle of Markwing. German records confirm this. He was serving with the 16th Bavarian Reserve Regiment. Hitler did tell multiple people, including Chamberlain, about being spared by a British soldier. He did have the painting of Tandey in his office. These facts are documented, verified, true. But did the specific encounter happen exactly as Hitler described? Maybe, maybe not. Some historians believe Hitler fabricated or exaggerated the story, that he saw Tandey's photograph, saw a famous Victoria Cross recipient, and created a narrative about destiny and providence. Hitler was obsessed with fate, with the idea that he was chosen for greatness. This story fit that narrative perfectly. Others believe the encounter was real, but that Hitler might have confused the person or the details. War is chaotic. Memory is unreliable. Still others believe it happened exactly as described, that this moment of mercy really did occur, and Hitler really was the soldier spared. We'll probably never know the complete truth. Henry Tandey himself couldn't definitively confirm it. He encountered many German soldiers that day, showed mercy to several. He couldn't remember one specific face from among thousands. But here's what matters. Whether the story is literally true or not, it reveals something profound about war, mercy, honor, and consequence. Henry Tandey lived by a code that said even in war, even against your enemy, there are rules, standards, lines you don't cross. You don't shoot wounded, defenseless men. You don't execute prisoners. You fight with honor. This code is what separates soldiers from murderers, warriors from monsters. And Tandey refused to violate that code, even when the cost was unimaginable. Henry Tandey lived until 1977. He died at age 86 in Coventry, England. He never sought fame, never capitalized on his war record, never gave extensive interviews. He was buried with full military honors, his Victoria Cross displayed on a cushion beside his coffin, a hero to the end. But the question remains, the question that haunted Tandey, the question that haunts history. Should he have pulled the trigger? If you could go back in time, knowing what you know now, knowing what that wounded German soldier would become, would you take the shot? It's easy to say yes, easy to believe you would recognize evil before it fully emerges, easy to think you'd sacrifice honor for the greater good. But Henry Tandey didn't have that knowledge. He didn't have a crystal ball. He didn't know the future. All he had was a choice, in that moment, on that battlefield. Honor or expedience, mercy or ruthlessness, the code or survival. And he chose honor. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the lesson isn't about whether Tandey made the right choice. Maybe the lesson is that we must live by our principles in the moment we have, not based on a future we cannot see. Maybe the lesson is that honor matters, that the code matters, that maintaining our humanity in inhumane circumstances is what defines us. Or maybe the lesson is darker. Maybe it's that mercy can have terrible consequences, that sometimes the moral choice leads to catastrophe, that war doesn't give us good options, only impossible ones. Adolf Hitler feared many things in his rise to power, feared his enemies, feared failure, feared exposure. But he never feared Henry Tandey. How could he? Tandey had already shown him who he was, a man of honor, a man of mercy, a man who'd rather live with doubt than certainty he'd become a monster. No, if Hitler feared anything about Henry Tandey, it wasn't the man himself. It was what Tandey represented. Proof that even in Hitler's darkest moment, when he was beaten and vulnerable, humanity still existed, and that perhaps, just perhaps, Hitler knew he didn't deserve the mercy he was shown. This is the story of the soldier Hitler never forgot, the hero who showed mercy, the man who carried an impossible burden. Private Henry Tandey, Victoria Cross. Remember his name.